A few other tips. Let's say that you are dealing with someone and they are acting inappropriately, and you've had a lot of history where it's just been really tough for you to actually engage in a conversation with that person, or you've had past situations that make it hard for you to directly communicate with that person. It's good to have a mediator. So having if it's outside of work, having a trusted friend, having a counselor, having um, someone who has a non-biased opinion and they can look at it from an open scope. If it's at work, you can always contact your HR and be able to have that conversation. Some places also have counselors where you can go and communicate to the counselor, but there's nothing wrong with doing that. And also, um, it does give you the opportunity so that if you are communicating to that person, to HR, and then you do confront this other person and they either fire you or they make life a lot harder for you, you've already told HR and they have that in their notes as to what's going on, and they can address that situation with that person. And then also uh, inappropriate gifts at work. Uh, I can relate to this. I've actually experienced being gifted very inappropriate gifts from uh, male counterparts. So, Antonella, you're like, oh,
Like
what is this?
what? What could you
you,
possibly have
want,
gotten?
you really want to know?
I think we all want to know.
Oh,
Can you share?
sure. So, when I was directing for my the nonprofit that I was running, I received a triangle string underwear ensemble
Wow.
from someone who wasn't part of my nonprofit. He was actually part of another nonprofit, but he thought it was a really nice gift. Actually, sent it to the garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
inappropriate.
but I did address the situation and say that I wasn't interested in receiving something like that ever again. I I think that there are people out there who are inappropriate, who just have a way, and it could be because they were brought up that way. It could be because of societal reasons where they feel suddenly at liberty to express themselves in a more dominant manner. But it's also important for you to understand that you have power, and what matters to you is very important and it needs to be honored. And also, if someone is making you feel uncomfortable, you don't have to live that way on a day-to-day basis. I think that sometimes we let stuff slide, we let it slide like, oh, it just happened, boys being boys, people being people, and we let it go thinking that it'll stop. It won't stop unless if you uh, really assert yourself and let them know this behavior, it really bothered me. This is why. This was the feeling that came up. Um, and let them know what you would like to have happen.
Mm. Yeah, you definitely have the right to feel safe and to voice your thoughts, and it's also an opportunity to develop in yourself. As hard as it is, we all wish we lived in a world where we all were safe and everyone was nice to each other. But the reality is that that's not the case. And for some of us that have to deal with personalities that are just terrible, you know, if you need that job, if you need to stay in that situation, then use that situation as a way to strengthen yourself as well. Get the support from people that you get inspiration from, people that can talk to you about how the mind works, to give you skills and strategies as well as to how to deal with difficult and even high emotive personalities. But yeah, by articulating your concerns first to yourself, asking yourself why this behavior is impacting me negatively, then it makes things much clearer as to how you have to deal with it moving forward. But, you know, being able to be disciplined in yourself to actually change the way, so you're not passive all the time, that you do have to stand up for yourself, to be assertive. That takes a lot of discipline and self-love and self-respect, and you know, you have to ultimately do the hard yards. You know, getting a little bit philosophical here now, but you know, this person could be in your life for a reason, to give you the opportunity to grow and to get stronger and to assert yourself, because you never know that you may need those skills for someone that's bigger and meaner and tougher and just uglier, and you know, you may need to use those skills to, you've got to defend a child or a loved one that is not in a position yet. So again, ultimately it stays with you to develop and grow and utilize those skills, and practice them as well. So again, in what we've mentioned before in previous videos, to just, you know, start little and practicing, you know, your boundaries with family and friends, your children, partners, to practice those little skills and then build up to it.